Hello, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing well after what was a disaster at Ewood Park yesterday. I'm not going to understate it. Yes, Watford come away with a point, but it very much for me felt like a defeat. But we'll forget about that for the next few minutes or so. Today, as the title suggests, we are talking transfers. We're into the final week of the window. It closes on Monday, February 2nd at 7 p.m. And whilst there aren't too many incomings to discuss today, I do want to talk about the potential outgoings we can see at Watford. It feels like we have a very large squad of players, and for about a quarter of them, Javi Gracia just isn't choosing to use them at all in matches. So we'll discuss them players today, and we'll start with James Morris. Now, it's been widely reported in the media that James Morris has agreed a deal in principle to join Leyton Orient on a permanent transfer. Both Luca Bendoni at Sky Sports and Adam Jury at the Watford Observer have been running with this story. And whilst I think that's a really good move for James Morris on both a personal and professional level, it's not moving, hundreds of miles across the country. It's still relatively local in the London area. I do feel this move will only be sanctioned if Watford do get an adequate replacement in now. Whilst James Morris hasn't played a lot of football for us this season, as we all know, what he does do is fill a very important slot and quota in the Watford squad. And you might know where I'm going with this. He fills kind of the homegrown quota now in the English Football League and in the Championship within your wider squad. And on a match day especially, you need to have a certain number of homegrown players who have been brought in or developed within kind of your academy system by a certain age. And Morris does fill that quota, and it's very important, of course, that Watford do not break them regulations. They've got to make sure they adhere to them rules. We don't want to get in trouble with the Football League, especially when we're having this season like we are. So yeah, Morris, of course, isn't up to Championship standard. He might be kind of lower Championship if I'm being really generous, but it's certainly not up to, playoff or promotion caliber. But a move for him to leave, as I said, will only be sanctioned if we can bring in an adequate replacement. Now, we've been linked with two fullbacks so far this window. The Peruvian left-back Cesar Inga. It seems like that one has stalled, and by the time I release this, he may have already agreed his move to Kansas City in the MLS. And we were also linked with former Watford player Harry Amass. Now, you may remember Harry from about 2022-2023 time. He was in the Watford Academy system. He made the bench in a league game, I think, when he was about 15 or 16 years old. A real talented prospect, but unfortunately, because Watford aren't Cat 1 status in our academy, it's very difficult to retain players like Harry, who have a lot of potential to go on and potentially be the next big thing, which led, of course, to Manchester United swooping in. They offered him a lucrative contract on a very significant salary. And yeah, he made the move to Old Trafford this season. For the first half, he's been on loan at Sheffield Wednesday. He picked up their Player of the Month award twice in a row, which is a real testament to his ability and character in a poor side. And unfortunately for us, he has in the past day or so agreed a deal to join Norwich City until the end of the season, which for me is a massive miss. I do know Watford were trying hard to secure Harry Amass's return. I don't know what the hold-up was. Maybe there was certain appearance-based clauses we had to meet, and of course Mark Boller is the first choice in that position. At the moment, wages may have been an issue too. I'm not entirely sure, but I do feel that was a massive missed opportunity to let, of course, Morris go, who's not receiving game time here, and bring back Harry Amass, who already knows the club and can fill that homegrown quota. So keep an eye on left back in the next week or so. I'm sure Watford are working on something behind the scenes, but other than Cesar Inga over in South America, we haven't really been linked with anyone credible, which, is slightly frustrating. Of course, we knew about about Caleb Wiley going back all the way at the start of the January transfer window. So in my opinion, they've had ample time to sort a replacement out. Some quick fire ones to discuss. Pierre Dwomoh, we spoke about at length here on the Watford Way numerous times. He's had interest from France, from Turkey, from clubs in England as well. I know Norwich City did express an interest in him towards the start of January. He actually agreed a permanent transfer away to St Etienne in Ligue 1 in France. They scheduled a medical and then cancelled that at the last minute after the club had a change of mind. So Pierre Dwomoh, again, I would certainly expect him to leave at some point within the next 7 days. Where that will be to, I've got no idea. I haven't got a Scooby. And yeah, that's a real shame as well, because as kind of the profile of player that he is, I really like him. He's kind of a box-to-box player. I certainly think he would have had a role to play in your squad if given the opportunity. So yeah, a real frustrating one, but hopefully that gets resolved too. I know Watford will probably want kind of a return on investment there. I think we spent a few million on Dwomoh when we signed him originally. So that's probably the hold up there if I was to take I guess. Two other players on the fringes of the Watford squad who aren't being given opportunities by Javi Gracia include Jeremy Petry and Formose Mendy. I was really surprised to not see Formose Mendy even on the bench at Blackburn, by the way. We know about the defensive injuries we have currently. Max Lane recalled to Manchester City. We spoke about that at length before. James Abankwah was taken off during the week. Matty Pollock is out at the moment too. And to not even see Formose Mendy get a slot on the bench was absolutely baffling. And the club are still running with the line, and Vallon's still coming out in press conferences saying that they trust Mendy and that he's a viable option for us. Well, if he can't even get on the bench against Blackburn away from home when we have loads of injuries defensively, surely he's not a viable option. I mean, why he's still here, I haven't got a Scooby. Maybe there's not a recall in there, potentially to his former club. I've got no idea. So, yeah, that's an interesting situation. Maybe we'll see him leave the club. I think that would only happen if Watford could get two central defenders in, really, is what I'm guessing. So, yeah, still baffled by the Formose Mendy situation. And, yeah, the last one to speak about, really, is Jeremy Petry. I thought under Paolo Pezzolano in that wing-back system, he looked very exciting. He looked really, really good going forward. His ball carrying and deliveries into the final third, I thought, were really fantastic, actually. And to not get a chance under Javi Gracia is really unfair. I think he played and started in that Bristol City Cup defeat, of course. But again, since then, he's not been given an opportunity. And both our fullbacks in Ngakia and Bola have been absolutely run into the ground. They must be absolutely knackered. So, yeah, another strange one. I've literally got no idea what is going on with him. I'd love to sit down with kind of Javi and his coaching staff to discuss these players at length a bit more, because yeah, as a profile of player, I really like him. Yes, he's probably not defensively where Javi would want him to be. And Ngakia is kind of your classic fullback in a back four, certainly more defensively minded. But I still do feel there is a place for Jeremy Petry in this Watford squad, especially when we would be dominating possession in a game. So yeah, that's an odd one. And yeah, just a quick mention for Musa Sissoko as well. I do find it interesting, just from a personal perspective, that he's not travelled with the squad in the past two matches. I do find that very intriguing. And all I'm going to say is that keep an eye on Musa Sissoko's situation in the next 7 days. Nothing could happen, very much so. He could stay at the club. But yeah, I do find it interesting that under Javi Gracia, he's slowly kind of been phased out of the group. When Javi first come in, he started the first couple of matches. I think Javi wanted to lean on experience. Then he started making some substitute appearances. His minutes have gradually been reduced. And now in the past two matches, against both Pompey and Blackburn, there's been no Sissoko in the squad whatsoever. So yeah, potentially a move on the cards for him. I've got no idea. Let's see what happens. You know, if I was Sissoko, 36, 37 years of age, coming towards the end of my football career, I'd probably want to move back to kind of my native home country in France. You know, who knows what's going on with him, but I imagine he is kind of quite a high earner, and Watford might want to shift him, you know, off the books potentially. So yeah, we'll end on Sissoko. In terms of other rumours, there isn't really too much to report. As I said, we were linked with that Peruvian left back Cesar Inga. That has gone very quiet over the past few days. There's a Georgian central defender, a young centre back at Udinese we've been linked with as well. I've got his name in front of me here, but it's very, very long, and I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, so I'll come back to that on another day. Other than that, though, that is it for rumours. There's not really much else to discuss. It's very quiet on that front. So my hope is that Watford have kept it very hush-hush behind the scenes, and that Juan Lukanani and Ballon Barami are working hard. I really do hope that's the case, because again, you know, it seems like time and time again, Watford post-Christmas get ourselves into a good position to compete for the playoffs. We saw the same situation under Ismail, we saw it under Cleverley, and we're here again under Javi Gracia. And what I don't want us to do with the squad we have and the plethora of talent we have in these wide attacking areas is to ruin that chance of the top six. This is a poor division. The sides above us we're very much capable of competing with and beating. And for us to kind of fall off and tail off again to potentially a mid-table finish is something that I am not willing to accept as a fan. So yeah, let's hope they're going to back Javi. Let's hope we'll see some players join in the next few days, and also some players leave who don't want to be here as well. I do feel it's very important that the atmosphere you have at the training ground is a positive one, and if you have players who are unhappy or annoyed at their game time, of course that can drag that down slightly too. So yeah, a real intriguing situation. Let me know who you want to see join Watford in the comments down below. If you could pick one dream signing from another Championship club, who would it be? Let me know. And yeah, keep up to date with all of our social platforms. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course here on YouTube too. And if we do receive any breaking news, I'll be here to discuss it all with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.